Wow. Cool, huh? Landsat. Special day today. 40th year anniversary, starting this afternoon, of Landsat. Isn't it an amazing thing? It is. 50 years for GIS, 40 years for remote sensing, right, Roger? Pretty good. This afternoon, we're very privileged to have someone else give us a little glimpse of what's been going on at Interior at USGS and specifically Aeros Data Center. For the past few months, Rachel Headley, who's coming out now, has been working on standing up a massive server, or rather a big server with a heck of a lot of data behind it. Actually, the whole archive of Landsat for the last 40 years, accessible as of today, is it? Mm-hmm. Live. So, okay, I got to tell you, when Landsat first came out, we were doing printer maps. Esri was a year and a half old, or 2 years, and I just didn't think much about it. We'd print out these huge maps, hang them on a wall, and maybe between here and the wall, I could kind of see a picture of what the world was like. And that would be one scene at a time, and it was expensive and difficult. Mm-hmm. On my hand here, in my hand here, oh well, I've got the whole world. And I can pan and zoom around, look at multispectral data, temporal data, from the beginning 40 years ago till today. But Rachel's going to tell us about her work. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Jack. "40 years, it's a long time. It means that for much of your life, if not all of your life, Landsat satellites have been taking pictures of this Earth. Think back 40 years. Nixon has just visited China. It was a big deal. The most popular video game was Pong. And Landsat launched its first satellite today, 40 years ago. But it wasn't just taking pictures. It was creating a scientific revolution, literally. Previous places that were nearly unreachable, like Beijing or Antarctica, or the depths of the Amazon basin, were now easily seen. And not just pictures. It was parts of the electromagnetic spectrum that revealed things yet undiscovered, like geologic structure. The scientist that was there said that each new image brought the same exclamation, "Wow, look at that." And now, Landsat's part of our everyday lives. I have a Twitter follower who uses Landsat 7 data to monitor ice on Siberian rivers. And we don't just look at Landsat data, we derive geographically explicit information. In this High Park fire example, teams develop burn severity maps to help determine ecological impacts across vast and often remote landscapes. A more operational use of Landsat data is taking the thermal band and mapping freshwater irrigation use in the western United States. This data is also used for monitoring drought across different parts of the globe and helping inform those organizations concerned about food security. The 40 years of data can also be used for disaster monitoring, tracking, documenting. You can always fly an asset over a disaster site, collect new data, but how do you monitor change if you don't know what came before? Landsat always has the before image. The use of Landsat data exploded after 2008 when we released the archive for free. In our best year, we sold 25,000 images. Sounds like a lot. We've recently exceeded that number in downloads in one day. 2 million scenes a year. This open access made this Columbia Glacier time-lapse possible. This simple time-lapse would have cost over $15,000 in data alone just a few years ago. There still remains a few barriers to use of Landsat data. If you've tried to use it, you're probably well familiar. How do you take bits and bytes off a spacecraft and make them into a beautiful image? Not everyone knows how to do that. And the file sizes are quite large. So I want to talk to you today about Landsat Look, which is a new product we've created specifically to address those two issues. It takes 3 of the bands, of the grayscale bands, combines them into a natural color composite that you see here. It's about 5 to 7 megabytes, and it's a JPEG, so you can get at this data very easily and quickly. So the next obvious question, how do we make this data easily accessible to the most people possible? So that's what Jack alluded to. I'm excited to show you a new viewer. Here it is. And for the purposes of today, I'm going to show you an area of change of tropical dry forest that has been converted to agriculture in the last 30 years or so. We're going to zoom into Bolivia. You can pan and zoom all around, but in this case, I'm taking us to a specific place. And in this advanced query, you can change the dates. I'm going to go back about 30 years or so. I'm going to reduce the cloud cover score. And when I click Apply, it reaches into the 3 million scenes in the Landsat archive and brings back just those scenes that are applicable to my query. In some parts of the world, we have over 1,000 scenes in one place. Here, you can see it's brought back 70 images, and it automatically loads the most recent image, which is September 2011. And you can immediately see it's an agricultural region. We have some enhancements you can use to help differentiate between forest and ag. And so now that we know this is an ag area today, what did it look like 30 years ago? So we'll go all the way back to 1984, and definitely forest. So somewhere between 1984 and 2011, there's some major change in this area. The beautiful thing about Landsat Look, it's not just those 2 endpoints. It's not the 5 images you might get with our global land surveys. It's 70 images over this area. You can literally page through and see the change over time. We'll just zoom into the early 90s. That's when I know the big change began. So for all you GIS people, we put a special button in for you. It's the metadata button. Here you can see a resampled browse. So this is the full image, 100 miles across. And it also has the associated metadata with those. You can pan through all 70 images this way. But it might make more sense to look at a tabular format. And once you get into the table, you can do all sorts of fun things. You can export the display, choose a few options, it goes out, the service knows where you're looking, and it grabs it and then shows you that area that you're studying. You can also select several scenes and add it to your cart. And once you put it in your cart, oops, I forgot to add, it looks like. Once you add it to your cart, you can go into your cart, and let's say you are so excited about the images that you're looking at that you want to actually go and get the full scene, the full 500 megabyte, 7 band scene. You can send those right to the USGS and get those data sets directly. So you can get a lightweight JPEG if that's what you're interested in, or you can get the serious 7 band data to do some real analysis. Now, another interesting feature about Landsat, the Landsat Look viewer, is that you add new data every day. Every day off the spacecraft, we get new data in, we get new data from international ground stations, and as soon as that data comes in, it gets put into the Landsat Look viewer. This becomes really exciting in February of 2013 when Landsat 8 is launched, Landsat Data Continuity Mission. Yeah. It'll be cool. We're excited. And I'm sure as the data streams begin to flow, and you can see these data in a day on this Landsat Look viewer, our reaction will be an echo of that of 40 years ago. Wow, look at that. I'd like to acknowledge all of the people that have made 40 years of Landsat possible. And for those of you who know some of the details, it's not always been easy. But every one of those people would be thrilled to see this giant leap forward in all of our vision to make the Landsat data accessible to all of our citizens. And I invite you, all of you, to join us in this legacy as we move into Landsat 8, Landsat 9, and beyond. Thank you.
Rachel. It's great. Thank you. Landsat. Landsat is a web map, the whole history, the whole archive.
3 million scenes.
On my iPad. Pretty cool. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Jeff.
It's really good.